started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Happy Monday. I'm Julie Pankey, and I'm the founder of the Spa Hive as well as JM Pankey Partners. For those of you that have not been on any of our Hindsight is 2020 weekly webinars, I think most people, as they're filing in, I think most people have been on our webinar series or have hopped on and off. Hopefully you've enjoyed this journey. Today we're part of series 2, which is strengthening our teams as we're rebuilding the foundation and the building blocks of our businesses. That we've taken this opportunity. You know, I love the phrase hindsight is 2020, and I say it all the time, so that's how we came up with this webinar series title, because, you know, instead of just talking about how we're going to re-enter the workforce post-COVID and as we're working through COVID, I wanted to take a step back and think, you know, how we could rebuild the foundation of our businesses from the ground up. So it's brick by brick by brick. So if you joined our first series, which was about, you know, finances and expenses and how we can maximize our dollars, now this is the last episode of our Strengthening Our Teams series. And starting tomorrow, we have a special webinar for you at 10:30 a.m. We're going to be kicking off series 3, which is going to be real world marketing strategies that work. And we're going to be kicking that off with the dynamic duo from Lip Gloss and Aftershave, Jenny and Barry. So we're super excited about that. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow at 10:30. And they're going to guide us through their marketing journey before we officially take a deep dive into marketing next Monday. So today we're so excited to have Maggie, Diane, and Liz with us. Hi. If you haven't heard of the SOS SPA Project yet, it's relatively new, right, ladies?
Yep.
And if you haven't met one of these 3 ladies, I feel like maybe you've been living under a rock. Because they are spa industry superstars, been in the industry for a really long time.
Really long.
So excited to have them. They're going to have an honest and candid and refreshing conversation with all of us today. And we're going to talk about that, you know, we're really only as strong as those we surround ourselves with. So I'm excited every week to surround myself with people that are leaders and amazing resources to bring you in our industry. So Maggie, let's start with you. Just take a moment to introduce yourself. We'll go around Maggie, Diane, and Liz, and then tell us about the SOS SPA Project and how that came about.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Julie. And it's really great to be here today because I'm all about this leadership, people, and how we guide people in these spaces that we call our spas. So I've been in the industry for, I don't know, 25, 30, 50, 90, 100 years. Started as a massage therapist and worked my way from massage therapist to corporate spa director to a co-founder of the SOS Spa Project. And this is, lots of stories along the way, but this is really a labor of love. You know, I'm very emotional about the SOS Spa Project. It started from conversations when everyone's pivoting, shifting, and really felt it was a time that our spa world needed to be sure that they had the support they needed so we could stay in front of the wave. So we, you know, there's so many incredible tools out there now, the iSpa Toolkit, the CDC guidelines, the AMBP, the AMTA, there's so many of it. We wanted to make it really easy for the little spas, for the big spas. We consolidated all of these resources on our website, so you could take the time to just cipher through that. But really the main thing we wanted to do was to give back and support, to hold a space and a time to ask questions. We assume sometimes that everyone has that, and create this sense of community, which is so darn important right now as we are in these uncharted territory. And as much as experience as we have consolidated, every day is a new day. So really excited. We've been able to reach out, and people have reached out to us to assist with the project. So that's all I'm going to say right now, and more to come on leadership and guiding humans.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Oh, Liz, why don't you go?
Okay. Well, I'm Liz. I think a lot of you do know me. I started in as a therapist. I'm a dual licensed therapist. I worked on cruise ships many years ago. Ended up loving America, moving here. For most of my experience in the US has been in training as a vendor, supplying spas with beautiful, organic, all natural, gorgeous products, aromatherapy associates. I'm sure a lot of you remember me from my AA days, as I call them. And I just felt there's a big need for support, help, even just chatting about what you are finding difficult, what you want to talk about, what you would like to have a little bit of advice without anybody knowing. Sometimes it's nice to be able to be, you know, very honest and say, look, I really don't know what I'm doing. And, you know, you're expected to know what you're doing. And hopefully we can just be your sound off, or run it by us, or help you help someone else. That's the whole goal of us, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hi everyone. Most people call me Di. I've been around, I started as a sports massage therapist and entered the spa industry way back in the early 90s, and was fortunate enough to kind of grow up at Canyon Ranch Health Resorts. So I was really able to get that whole integration of body, mind, and spirit early on in my career of operations. For the past 12 years, I've been basically on my own in a consulting capacity. And most recently, you know, with talking to Maggie, we just figured, oh, can you still see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you had something really insightful to say, like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been very much involved. When I left the spa industry, I entered with Cortiva Institute, which maybe perhaps a few people might know about, because we were the largest education for vocational massage therapy. So I kind of had this intersection of always educating with spa treatments and protocols, and all the employees at hand for startups. And most recently, when Maggie called me and said, hey, there seems to be a really good time to connect with people, and, you know, people are just overwhelmed. And I said, absolutely, let's create this SOS project. My biggest step was to, as Liz said, reach out to people who feel that maybe they don't have somebody to bounce things off of, or just express their angst, or just to ask questions that they don't even know, you know, they don't even know what they don't even know. So that's basically how I looked at getting into the SOS SPA project, is just to lend a helping hand.
Awesome.
That's great. Well, welcome. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us. And we're super excited to dive into this topic. I think, Maggie, you're going to start, right?
Yeah. Well,
And just a reminder, I did put a note in the chat, but as we go, we'd all love this to be very conversational. So go ahead if you have questions as they go, even questions that don't 100% pertain to what we're talking about, but you have burning questions that you'd love to ask, you know, one of our three guests. put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat, and we will ask the questions as we go.
Awesome. Thanks. And also, you'll see this is conversational. I'm not here to preach to anyone, but would love to share some insight that I have on leadership, because as we know now, not just in our spa spaces, but as a country, as so much that's going on, leadership is really the key to moving forward through this. And I love again, the name of this, Hindsight is 2020, because as I think we all know on the call, that leadership really starts with a core of a really strong culture and a culture of care. And creating a culture in the middle of a pandemic is not really the best thing. So if you're coming from that space, create one now. But knowing your leadership style right now, we are in uncharted spaces. As I said, we have so much experience. What I say is every day, analyze the day, see what's happening in the day, shift, change, and make tomorrow better than today was as we go through this process. But I also think it's really a time to focus on the old servant leadership. And there was this really great webinar that I listened to with John Maxwell and Casey something or other. And they talked about getting in the ditch, right? So as we know, therapists, I'm one too, we all are, therapists love to talk. They love to tell you things. And in our past, we don't have time, we don't have this. Now's the time, climb in the ditch, right? The ditch is where we need to listen and learn. The ditch is also, by the way, for people that need to climb in the ditch, it's a place where, and maybe I need to figure out a different word for ditch, because it's kind of a weird thing. I could probably come up with a better one. Maybe it's a cave, but it's a place where that therapist or provider really can be vulnerable and share their raw feelings. Maybe there's fear, and it's really a place we need to allow them to be. And us as leaders, we need to be present and we need to listen. But we can't spend too much time in the ditch, because then you want to go crazy, right? So as a leader, it's our responsibility to pull them out of the ditch. The ditch is our listening space, the ditch, the cave. If you have a better one, put it in the chat so I can change this when I talk about this more. And it's the time when we need to respond with empathy and understanding. Really be present and listen. Let them know that their words were heard, provide encouragement. And it's really important right now to provide hope. Take them out of the ditch, and now it's the time to lead. And as we kind of talk about this listening and leading, I think as leaders in our past, we've been very focused on, well, I'm the leader and this is what we do, and here are the protocols, and and now listen. I think we need to do a little paradigm shift, and we need to go from the order of leading and listening to listening, leaning in, and then leading. And then you have a clear understanding of what the needs are. There's no assumptions. There's no, I think this is what they need and this is what I've heard, but your people are telling you that. If you want to talk about having people that you're going to retain because they can trust, and you give them a level of commitment and hope, you got it. So I just have a couple more things, and then I just want to, and I'm going to pass it on to Di, because I think she has some more insight. But I'd say that are the best way, and again, I've learned this from being in a space, but the most successful way to retain is communication and trust. And again, if you had solid communication pre-COVID, if you stayed connected like now in this time and communicated throughout, when you kind of go into this reopen, or if you are in this reopen, now it's the time to continue to be present, to be listened, and know that the playbook is written in pencil. And what we've heard on, and you've all heard this, I'm sure, on so many of these webinars, is hindsight is 2020. And when we say, like, what would you have done different for y'all that have opened, so you can help those that haven't yet? And it's really the number one thing that I've heard is, we wish we could have brought the team back sooner to train, to re-educate, et cetera. Di, don't you agree with this, is what we've heard?
Yes, we've done a lot of talking about what ifs, right? And we're all in the what if. And what I've learned more Zooms than I'd like to admit, is that, you know, you do need a pencil, because what I'm telling you right now, straight up, might not work for your space, right? What you're reading in different areas of resources, people are referring to a specific thing that worked for them as they were even organizing opening. It might not work for me or anyone else, because my space is different. The culture within my spa is different. So I like that freedom flow that Maggie's talking about gaining that trust right now and showing your staff where you sit, how you're going to wear the shield to protect them. Because we talk about the front line with the medical community being doctors and nurses, and they're front line. All our staff are our front line, because from the minute the guest walks in, you know, they're in front of people. And I find education is the big application that we really need to embrace right now, even for ourselves as leaders. We can't just make a reference to something if we really don't understand what's behind it. Because at the end of the day, if that's not capable to do in our setting, then that's not the best reference to put forth to your staff.
Hey, Di, can I just add something there? Sorry, on the why, the Simon Sinek, the why. And I think so often exactly what you're saying, if you take the time, it's like, you're not just doing this because I said so, or because if you take the time for the why, and that's where I think we're really go. And then listen sometimes to their whys, because their whys may be better than your whys. And
Right.
that's where that pencil comes in, and the eraser. Remember, you can't just have a pencil. You need the eraser on there.
True that. And you took the why right out of my mouth.
Sorry.
Because I'm all about why. When I was a therapist at Canyon Ranch, I have a business background, but I asked so many questions. I wanted to know, why are we doing this? Because it makes no sense. But you don't just kind of complain about the why. You got to say, why are we doing this? Because if we did it this way, that would really help me. That would really make sense to me as a therapist. That would help me provide something better for our guests, right? Or that would help my coworkers so much more if we did this. So I think the why is an awesome way to begin. And the fear factor goes away when we answer the why. Like, how are we going to clean, and why are we using this product? Well, if you bring something up, if you think you got a product to bring to the table, you better be able to explain why. Why is this the product we're going to use? And I think that's important, especially everyone's talking about sanitation and what are you cleaning this and wiping down that. It's like, great. If you went to SOS, we have a whole resource list, and we do advocate everybody, but there's just certain people on our list. There's no, why. It's just because those are the ones we got to right now. But if there's different strokes for different folks. If you're totally green, there's X. If you're not green, but you want to be sensitive to toxins, then there's Y. So if you can explain that to your staff, following protocols is not going to be an issue, right? You're getting the buy-in from your staff. Wouldn't you agree, Liz?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just about to say, remember, there's no I in team. And I think it's very important for your staff to be a big part of the decision making, because if you allow them to be a big part of any decisions that might ultimately involve them, you're going to have a much better success rate. Because, in the past, I hate to generalize, but I think in the past it's been, I'm the spa director and this is how we're doing things around here. And being a vendor, many times I've gone into trainings and I've been told what the therapists think about the spa director saying this is the way we're going to do things. And very often they will ask me or express to me, why do they never ask us these questions? We're with the guest all day, we're in the room all day, And, you know, why do they never ask us? Why are we not part of decision making? Well, ultimately, it may not have been the spa director's decision. It may have been the GM's decision. Who knows? But if you have a town hall team meeting, and again, why, maybe explain why you're using this disinfectant compared to another, then the team would be a lot more to like embrace it instead of saying, well, we know something better or we know something more. You do have to remember that the team are just as clueless as you are as to how things are going to happen and how will it turn out and will it be successful and why do I have to wear my mask? Well, if you wear your mask, you're going to protect someone against something that you might have. But it's important for the other person to wear the mask too, so that you will be protected. And it's a very good way to explain that to a guest who feels it's, you know, annoying to wear a mask. And it is annoying, but you know what? It's a way of life now. We are going to be wearing masks for a long time. So we should embrace them. We should let it be a part of our uniform and help explain that to the staff. Look, this is a new protocol. This is your new uniform now. It goes with whatever you wear in your treatment. If you have to wear black shoes, you have to wear a face mask. That's just the way it is today. But remember that your staff are worried, concerned. They've probably had no income for a couple of months. They're short of cash. They want to come back to work, but they're scared. I think it's a good idea maybe to have some kind of role play in place, maybe role play with your staff for those questions that are going to come up that they don't know the answer to. A guest might ask them, oh, what are your cleaning procedures? You know, what are your protocols? What's your hygiene? What's your sanitation? The last thing you want is for one of your staff members to say, I have no idea. I really have no idea. Because that looks like unprofessional, you're not prepared. And it gives that team member, staff member to feel really in the team. Like, I know everything that goes on here. I know everything about it. I know why we do it. I'm confident that what we're doing is probably the best practice. And you'll really find that you have a stronger team, you have a confident team, and you have a happy team. Now, I always go back to Richard Branson, right? He always says, if your staff and your team are happy, your customers are going to be happy. There's nothing worse than a disgruntled massage therapist, right? We've all had to deal with them, been with them. And half the time they're only disgruntled because they feel like they're ignored. That's it. Yeah. They just feel like no one cares what they think, what they say, and they feel ignored. And I go back to, as a vendor, you hear a lot of this in these training rooms all day long, 8 hours a day. You hear a lot of it. And it's just embracing them, really. Their fears, their concerns. That's all it is. And one more thing that I would add, as I've had several years with my beautiful Shankara team, there's a good way of de-stressing people at the beginning of a day. And that's actually just doing a nice breathing exercise. Everybody holds their fear, their anxiety, and they hold it in the top of their body, and just deep breathing, letting go, you know, having a nice morning powwow, a little bit like a cheerleading with a breathing. I really do think that will help a lot of spa directors, spa managers, spa owners to have a well-rounded, relaxed staff if they incorporate a little bit of that. And thank you to Shankara and Ashish Pandya for teaching me that over the years. That's just a nice way to start the day, I think. It's a little bit of cheerleading.
And Liz, we're going to be adding, right? We're going to be adding some of those breathing links to the SOS SPA project.
Correct.
Below the resources, we also have some partners, and besides the PPE, we'll be adding things so we can be protecting our mind and our mind, body, and our soul, because we think that's so important during this as well. So that's additional PPE that we've added. to our list.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So I'm going to take the PPE from here.
Okay, then.
Great
So-
segue. And I love role play. So I'm so glad you said that. Because I swear, like every time I said role play, the team was like, oh no,
Yeah.
comes role play. But honestly, it was like almost like the secret sauce, you know, because we put them through, you know, some scenarios that they just didn't think of, or things that they thought they could handle. But then when they're kind of in the hot seat, you know, they might handle it differently, and we could coach them through. And I find, I mean, when you said it, I was like, yes, role play. How awesome is that?
And you're also
Sorry,
a little
Maggie,
bit
I
uncomfortable.
interrupted.
No, that's okay. No, with role playing, you're even the most confident of us. You're kind of like a little uncomfortable. So it's kind of good to push through that, because everyone has to do it. It kind of brings them together. But I've had so many conversations with spa directors and leaders talking about kind of their new job is the director of sanitation and cleanliness. And because that's so much focus, and it is so important, but also knowing that they have to lead and, you know, have the people side of it. So I couldn't help but come up with an acronym. So I talked about servant leadership when I started. And so I have a new acronym. It's called Clean Leadership. And so let me go through the letters. So the C is culture, of course, to have a foundation of culture of care, and also courage. You know, we keep talking about we're in this uncharted territory, and I would be remiss not to add a Brené Brown quote here. You know, she always says, lead humbly, lean into and I want to lead into the words of Brené Brown. But she says, courage is contagious. Every time we choose courage, we make everyone around us a little better and the world a little braver. So we need to, with this clean leadership, again, we need that culture of care, and we have to lead with courage. You know, we have to be strong but vulnerable. And I think that's going to be a real game changer if you weren't doing that before in your leadership style. So the L is listen, lean in, and learn. And if you think about it, if you are listening to someone, that equates to their perception is you trust them, right? So listening equals trusting, and learning is them teaching us. So we're teaching from listening and learning and leaning into what they're saying. So it really creates an opportunity for us to grow, for us to identify the changes that might need to happen in this listening phase, which I haven't always been great, I'll be honest. Listening in my leadership time, but really recognize that being being present and listening is when you learn the most. So the E is for empathy. You know, I think we all know that we have to be more understanding. We have to lead from our hearts right now. And we have to really be supporting the teams. And I'll tell you, I'm only 3 letters into this, but even if you focus on those 3s, you will have a team that's committed to staying with you. Right now, as a leader, now more than ever, we have to be agile, hence the pencil and the eraser. You may think you have the greatest system and protocol in place, and it just sucks, right? And you go, and your team's like, oh my God, it looked really good on paper, and as we walked through it, but when we did it, it was awful, it sucked. How can we be agile? How can we change it? And I think that again, we've heard a lot of that. And the N stands for noble. And noble is not, you know, I had to look it up because I've heard noteworthy and noble. And noble, it's not this, what's the word, aristoc, whatever. It's not like being a king. Like, we're not saying that. But I love this definition of noble. It's having high moral principles and ideals, believe in what you are doing, be consistent in the delivery of your message. So being or focusing on clean leadership right now, I think really, and you focus on those at the beginning of your day, at the end of the day, and you tie into that. I think, again, what you're going to see is people that are buying into what you're doing. They want to follow you, right? They feel safe and trusting, and they want to follow you. And I think like there's two things, and from a training perspective, like that listening and being agile, like what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to hit this one over the head with a hammer.
Shocking.
I really think that as a leader, if you're knowledgeable, like, look, this is a virus that people don't understand, like even the highest people from CDC, right? But we're going about our business in the world, and hospitals have been doing it every day, and spas are opening. So the choices that we mentioned earlier, is it, you standing your ground and being able to defend why you're standing your ground and whatever plan you have. If you have the plan of opening, we're restricted on the amount of individuals you can bring back, right? So we do want to try and create the plan for the sustainable career with this new business model that we are creating. So once again, I believe it goes back to education. Look, we always followed universal precautions. We have to listen to the CDC, and they're updating it all the time. We also have OSHA. We've always followed OSHA. And let's take massage, the FSMB, XYZ, I forget the acronyms for that, but the Federation, let's just say the Federation.
FM, yeah.
Right? They too have these guidelines that we as leaders need to be aware of, because guidelines don't mean this is what we're going to do and how you do it. But if you're going to go somewhere, you need to be educated on what's the industry doing? What are massage therapists doing in the industry? And I think that's really important, because purifying the air is great. Once again, we got to know why and how, and fundamentally, is it the cost factors, right? But we need to own the importance of bringing your staff back, not forcing them back. We don't want to force them. We want to show them what we're trying to follow everything the professionals are requesting that we follow, because we want to protect them. And I think if you bring the stars back, if you have the right opening plan and you're owning it because you believe in what you've educated yourself on, you bring your stars back, and they're going to help you along as well. And then they're going to be able to spread the word to other staff. Now, mind you, I know that we have to wear masks, and you can't do if you don't want to wear a mask, that's okay. In order for you to protect your staff, the world, quite frankly, we got to reduce. The only way to reduce is masks. I mean, not the only way, I'm being grandiose, but there's statistics out there, right? But I think that's a big deal, because it's showing how it's important for us. When we lay the line in the sand, we don't want to just cross the line over because we're having somebody confronting us at the time of our service. So it goes back to educating people before they come on property. But here's the thing I really truly believe in. There's an education module out there by Ann Williams and Eric Brown, and I've brought this up on at least 2 other Zooms I've been on, and it's called The Core Concepts for 2020. And it literally, your front desk person can watch a chapter. It's about 10 to 12 chapters. I think chapter 8, it talks about what is a virus, what is bacteria, and it could be boring, but it's kind of put in a sense where it's not boring. It's educational, and everybody can use it. They could go home and say, hey, you know what I learned today? And share it with their families. But the interesting thing with that is educating your staff in relative things for their career. So if they went to look at this textbook, digital textbook, Eric Dalton, who's a very popular educator in the world of massage, he's actually created a national certification for the book by chapter. So you can use it for your staff to support their career, and also be educating them that can be applied immediately in your space. So those kind of educational things I think are important. And the walkthrough is get your staff that you're bringing back on a Zoom at first, talk them through what you're doing, then invite them and do your what do you call it? The playbook?
Playbook.
Playbook.
The playbook. And what Julie loves is the
Role play.
role play. Thank you. But I think that's really relevant. And I want to say another really important thing that I feel like massage therapists and estheticians, some of them don't want to move forward or come back to work. And it's because what they've been taught about the physiology of our bodies. And one of the things we check is, do you have blood clots? You know, there's certain things that you have to ask guests if they have a medical condition. And guess what, you guys? The SARS-CoV-2, which turns into COVID-19, it is not only an airborne virus. When it comes into our body, it does affect our lungs. When it comes into our lungs, it does infect the blood vessels. And when it affects the blood vessels, it creates thrombosis, which is clotting. So if somebody, that's why we need to ask, you know, when we do our check through at the beginning with guests, it's not only about your temperature, it's about, have you known anybody? These are things for all of us, so we can apply them as a professional to make sure we don't make any bad, you know, worse decisions. And it's important to respect that. That's where the universal precautions comes back to, knowing your profession.
Exactly. And if your staff, it's time to come back, we're opening everyone back in, I think it's a courtesy, because they had no choice in being sent home.
Right.
It's a courtesy to give them a choice is to come back. I think companies that just said, sorry, you're furloughed, bye, see you. And then they, 4 months later, may not have even contacted you, or 3 months later, or you heard nothing. All of a sudden, they say, okay, you can come back. I think you've got to be courteous to your staff and say, we're allowed to open. Is this something you would like to be a part of? Because they were disgruntled to be sent home, to be told to come back when they're not ready. You can imagine how disgruntled they're going to be. And that's not going to make for a very pleasurable treatment to your guest. So I would recommend, if it's even possible, that you give them the courtesy of a choice. And as you were saying earlier, Julie, some people don't have childcare. Daycare centers are not open. Schools were closed. They may be homeschooling still. I think most schools are closed for the summer now, but they've got, 9-10-year-olds at home. You can't leave them at home alone. So there's a lot to consider when you tell your staff, okay, it's time to come back now. And you'll get some resistance, I'm sure, but ask them, are they ready? Do you want to come back? We'd love you back. Are you ready? And of course, don't invite them back on Friday and say, okay, you've got 8 appointments tomorrow. There should be some kind of role play, as I said, and bedding in. They've gone from doing nothing for 3 months to 8 massages in one day. They need time to adjust their own body and their own mind back into some kind of work day.
Mhm.
We were on a webinar last Monday, again, talking about the staff, and it reminded me of something that she said. And she said once you get back and, everybody is back, don't forget that your team needs a mental health check every so often, and don't just forget about it. And, we're open, everything's good. And we can move on. But she said to be cognizant of, a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, in your one-on-ones, do what she would call sort of a mental health check, because, it's very stressful, not just for, owners and managers and directors, but, for the team.
Yeah, definitely.
I was talking to a spa director the other day, and she said one of her staff, this was in Colorado, came to talk to her and she was so stressed. She had massaged 3 people from Texas and 1 person from Florida. And again, had all the protection, did everything right, but it's still, it's kind of freaky. And she had to just come and talk through it and then go home to her small child at home, so it's really, it's tough. It's a tough time, and really leading from the heart and being empathetic and having that culture of care is so more important. And I actually think checking in on a daily basis initially it needs to happen more than just just on the weekly side.
I see Betty.
Sorry. When we're talking about involving getting things ready, it's like the pivot of the menu, and this is a really good opportunity to show the staff, like, what would you do, staff? Like, maybe you reduce your menu down to like 2 services or 3 services. And I love the idea of having like a deli menu. You come in and whoever's working that day, you do an XYZ service, and that's it. And they're part of creating that, I think this is a good time to get the staff involved. What would you feel like doing today? Like, what works for you? And I know guests might pre-book, but this is also that pivot where the guests are probably going to be comfortable with a change. And at the end of the day, they're still getting cared for, and hopefully by somebody that they requested,
And I think they expect it to be that way. They're used to having their food delivered, drive-by, pick up. No one's been to a restaurant for the longest time, so no one's been to a spa for the longest time. So it's bound to be somewhat different. And it might be refreshing to be somewhat different. Be creative, make it like a comeback special and kind of fun. Make it fun. I mean, it should be fun that we're opening our spas. It shouldn't be so, it shouldn't be so drama. That comes later once we've been open a while.
The drama's always there. We know that.
That's when the drama comes. Let's make it fun at the beginning.
And don't forget, I love the fun. And don't forget, like, some of these sanitizing things that we should be doing, we can also internalize and make them rituals. Like when the guest comes into your room, you can have a way to wipe your hands down and, show them create that lust that we had, that's what spa is, but make it in a way that's more comfortable. Like, you're not just cleaning your hands, but it's actually part of the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And that could, of course, be a retail item.
And if I could also add, we're talking about taking care of our associates, right? How do we retain them? I think kind of looking at them as our guests as well. In my past, we always looked at our staff as our internal guests. And now more than ever, they have that awful mask. And I had to just fly from Chicago here. I had it on for like 5 hours. I wanted to die, and I was not doing anything. But providing them with like skincare masks, so they have the mask that is, that's protecting them, and then give them another mask to take care of their skin, because everyone's breaking out here. And offering them hand treatments, for those of you that have the Hyperice, the Hypervolt in the back, make sure you're doing those for them. And I think one of the most important things we can do for them right now is that emotional support, so they don't feel crappy because they're fearful, because it's a normal and it's a natural
And
emotion.
Maggie, remember we talked about scheduling and skipping around, and we have spoken to different spa directors who thought they needed a half hour between treatments, and then the staff was like, please reduce that amount of time, we're just standing around. So be mindful of letting your staff know, we're going to start here, and if you need more time, let me know, of course. If you need less time, let us know, and then we'll be able to restructure things. Now, luckily, you know, we have computer systems that are adaptable, or there's nothing wrong with a little paper and pencil with an eraser.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's what we used to do with booking. With 22 rooms, I remember the sheets, you know. But, you know, we've been there. So that's the beauty of it. It's like you hear ideas, you say, let's go for it. And then we'll figure out how to make it work sustainable wise.
Yeah.
But with Maggie's mentioning of the face mask and care, it's like give everybody an opportunity to remove the mask so it doesn't get irritating, you know, and show them ahead of time, be ahead of it instead of waiting to fix it.
Mm.
What do you ladies think about, you know, creating some kind of, you know, internal wellness program?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Liz was talking about, you know, breathing. So, you know, could it be, you know, you bring in somebody at some time, you know, a month down the line, you know, that works on, you know, reflexology, or, you know, bring in someone to do a meditation, or maybe there's someone on your team that could lead a meditation or lead a breathing exercise, and using some of the resources that are available, you know, on your website, or, you know, Shankara, you know, has an app, I believe, that they could download and do, you know, breathing exercises with their team. You know, what are your thoughts on, you know, trying to enhance, you know, the team's wellness?
I personally, I think it's a great idea. I think some spas already possibly do that. If they're that type of spa, maybe more of a wellness Ayurveda. I do think years ago, we used to have team wellness programs, but I think it's got lost lately. I think a lot of spas have turned into a conveyor belt. How many treatments can we get in one day? And it's all about the money, and the wellness has got a little bit lost. And I think this is a perfect time, because we've all had to step back and regroup. I think it's a perfect time to bring it in again, because we can incorporate that into part of our daily routine. And going back to scheduling the times, you know, you'll get some, like you said, someone said half an hour between treatments is too long for me, but it might not be too long for somebody else. So maybe there could be a way for the wellness of your staff that it's not all the same for everybody. What if I only want 15 minutes? Can my schedule be altered that I take a treatment every 1 hour, 15 minutes? Does it all have to be the same just because, you know, Susie Smarty Pants can do one every hour, you know?
Yeah, if I could also add to that, oh shoot, I lost my thought process.
While you're thinking, you know, Betty commented, team trades of treatments has no better time than now.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a comment a bit earlier, and it was just, it is so more than even PPE and disinfecting. It could involve being called back to a shortened schedule, different pay model, working with set teams so there is no crossover. She sees emotional reevaluations as to whether they want such an unsettling reentry at the potential cost of contracting the virus and bringing it home, which you ladies discussed. There is great stress to be forced, so to speak, to come back to work when there are no guarantees for 100% safety, no matter what. Career dumping is a potential reality right now.
It's happening. It's happening. There's career dumping.
Yeah.
It's happening with everybody. Like, it's not just the spa. So this is where the leadership is about diminishing the fear and making sure you can back yourself up. I'm not saying lie and be like, this will never happen to you, because we know, even going to the grocery store, we don't know what's going to happen. So it really comes back to maintaining how much you want to provide a safety environment and a safety net for anybody on your staff. And then they have to make that decision for themselves and their family, whether this environment is comfortable for them to be in. Because if they go to some other building and work at motor vehicle, they're going to have the same situation.
Yeah.
Is it safe? You know,
I
so
think yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So it's really like living your values too. And I think if you're living your values, you're consistent, we're positive, we're prepared. I think that preparedness is really important. The Zoom calls prior to them coming back to say, this is what we're doing, this is the shift, before they've even walked through the door, giving them the ability to want to decide if they're ready or not. And the one thought that I had when, you know, we have also a situation which we need to be really cognizant of, especially in our smaller spas with, you know, the back of the house, you know, there's no real space now for the therapist to go.
Right.
So it's really like they're in their room. And what's great about some of these breathing apps is it can just be integrated into part of their day when they have that time in between to have the app on their phone, you know, do their breathing thing, get centered, take the darn thing off in, you know, privacy of their private space, and then put it back on again. I just think the emotional, that emotional health and that giving them the ability and the tools to do that is really key.
Yeah, I'd like to share something. I think we've already pivoted on this phone call because there's been two comments independent of each other. And to me, it shows how the glass is half full, right? And it's up to us to refer that back to the staff. And one is from Betty, who's basically saying, you know, having time in between is basically helping staff and guests know that when we disinfect the area, it's giving it time, it's giving it a break, the space, the room.
Yeah.
That's a great way to lay it down. It's perfect. And another about sanitizing, you hit the nail on the head. It's like our space is going to be the cleanest space, the cleanest environment, the best smelling, clean environment you can ever walk into, period. You know, so that's what we should be telling everybody. We're doing all this, plus you're going to love sniffing all this good stuff and being touched by people who care, you know, and everyone's smiling behind the mask.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any ideas? I think, I can't remember who was talking about it, if it was Liz or Maggie, okay, maybe Di, I can't remember. But anyway, you know, making your sanitation as part of, you know, a welcome ritual. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you run across any products that we can, you know, mention to our viewers that we can make a ritual out of, instead of making it a negative, turning it into, like what you're saying, a positive and part of our experience. It's about experience.
Yeah.
We have, but you know, this isn't about soliciting SOS SPA Project, but it is.
Let me go get something.
We have,
There.
Everybody's running around. Sorry.
we do have a few things, but this isn't the time to explain why. But if you go on our website, you will see why and how. And we're also offering the retail ability that if the staff is really excited about it, they're going to be able to push it forward for the guests to have an experience at home and share with their family, because it's really cool stuff.
So these wipes are they're biodegradable. They're made out of bamboo. This is an individual pack. They come in a whole pack, and this one has its disinfecting cast-out soap and essential oils. So it's a cleaning and essential oils. Like right when they walk in, you pour a little water on it. It turns into a hand wipe, and it's, you know, they could do it on their face, they can do it on their hands. It's so awesome. And Shankara has another really great product.
Yeah.
And this, go ahead with Shankara.
It's my turn.
Okay.
It was funny, Liz. I was just looking at that earlier on their website. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So this is Shankara's. And by the way, I don't work with Shankara anymore. So it's purely me telling you this is a great product. It's a pure clean hand gel. It is a rinse-free hand wash, and it protects you for 8 hours. Oh no, 24-hour protection.
Wow.
It's all natural and alcohol-free, paraben-free, the usual Shankara type product, very clean. But that is great for your manicures. After you've done the cutting and the clipping and the filing, you usually send them away to wash their hands. You don't need to. They can sit right there and use that. So it's a great product for that.
Yeah.
Di, did
And
you
this
have something?
just happens to be on my desk. What's that?
I said, Di, did you have something too?
Yeah, I have this little doodah, but you could, it's called the 8-hour defense. And it literally, you spray it on your hands and it doesn't allow any bacteria or virus to penetrate. They use it in operating rooms. It's FDA approved, it's EPA approved, it's non-toxic, it's got all the statistical data in there. It's new to our market. It's been in the medical industry for 15 years. So this is just some fun stuff that keeps it safe and practical. It's not, you know, like Matt, you don't have to buy commercial, whatever. This does not exclude anything you're already using if you are using things. This is just a complementary, and or maybe you merge it down the road. But that's what SOS SPA is trying to do. Just create some resources that are easy.
Oh, we
And
lost.
you click through and do what you got to do to make your place safe.
Love it. So we're almost at the end and we want to stay on time. Nina asked one question that I'm going to go back if I can find it. So this is a good ending. And let me just scan through here. Happy asked the product that Diane shared. Just so everyone knows, I'm going to get these products and a lot of the notes from our presenters today. And so you'll get with a copy of this video that will come to you via email in the next few days. I'll also have all these resources, plus the SOS SPA Project website again. So I'll write all those down for you so that you can have them, as well as contact details for Maggie, Liz, and Di. So let's just end with answering Nina's question, which is, what would be the top 3 things that you would recommend to help keep or retain your team? And let's talk about now, today, you know, not in a perfect world, because, you know, we're not in that world anymore.
I say communicate, communicate, communicate. They're my top 3 ones.
I'm going to say education, and I mentioned that certification, so it works on their career and being in the workplace for your environment.
And I would say give them a voice. Role play, give them a voice, let them be a part of the decision making and procedures.